Hello Year 7 and welcome to 07.01, our first lesson on linear relationships. Well, you probably have a really good idea of what parts or maybe all of these words means, but let's just go through it and we'll see how we go. So, relationship. Well, how can I describe the word relationship without using the word relationship? That's a difficult one. I guess it would be the interaction between two different things or more. And then what does linear mean? So linear has a nice specific meaning in maths. The one that we're going to use is that if you look at the word linear, we have the word line inside it. So you've just done maybe a new page, big heading, linear relationships. Maybe you want to go and draw a box around the word line. When you see the word linear, it's got something to do with a line. And when we say line in maths, lines are straight. Otherwise, it's a curve. Our lines are straight. Well, it's not very straight, but imagine that I drew a perfectly straight line and the curves are curvy. Okay, you've got it. Let's get into it. Here is the syllabus. You don't need to write this down. You can look it up if you want to. Here is the syllabus. Here's what we have to be able to do. We have to be able to know what points on a Cartesian plane are. Hint, you already know that. We're going to look at some geometric patterns. Geometric means fun to look at. No, it doesn't actually mean that. It's to do with geometry, and I think this is like space and this is measuring, so different kinds of shapes, and I think you know what pattern means. Tables of values. So basically a big grid with numbers inside it. The numbers are our values. We're going to use words and pronumerals. This is a big fancy word which you might have seen in algebra, or maybe not yet. Big fancy word which means letters that represent numbers. And we do that like we did when we were doing, or one of the reasons we do that is when we were doing length, we would write down a formula like C equals pi times D. And that's true for all values of the circumference of a particular circle and all values of the diameter of the same circle. So it was true for particular values, and when I say value, I mean numbers, particular numbers replacing the values of D and C. So I could say this, and it's true for every circle rather than writing it just for one particular circle. So that's the advantage of using the letters to hold the place for numbers. We can say things a lot faster. Okay, checking rules by substitution. Substitution means to replace. So we'll be replacing our letters with particular numbers. Using a rule to calculate corresponding values for a larger number. Corresponding values for a larger number. So that means that we would use our rule, which might only go for 4 or 5 values, and we'll check it for like a much larger value. And when I say value, I just mean number. And we'll also do linear relationships on the Cartesian plane, and they will be in some way related to a straight line. Okay, lots of words down here. Tick off the ones you know, if you want, or not, up to you. I'm going to tick off the ones that I think you already know. I think you know this, this, this. I think you've seen this before. I think you've got an okay idea of what that is. You've got a great idea of that one. You know about that. You know about that. This is what we're doing. I think you know this. You know this. Maybe you know these ones. You definitely know that one. Maybe you're not sure about some of these. But you know most of those words already. Maybe. If there's some words there that you're absolutely not sure about, you could go look them up with the internet and do your best to write a little definition down. It might not be the exact one that we're using in this unit, but that's okay. Anyway, I spent 4 minutes on this whole slide, and you've only written down up to 2 words. Maybe a few more words if you felt like it. Let's continue. All right, there's a really fun piece of research that says that when students know what they're learning, they learn better. This is what you're learning. This is what you're going to learn. You're going to learn how to identify and label points on the Cartesian plane. You can probably do that. Recognize geometric patterns and write algebraic expressions that describe them. That might be a little new because there's this algebra thing going on here. Complete tables of values. That's probably a little new. Use words and letters to describe a pattern. Check rules by substitution. Use a rule to calculate values for large numbers. and graph linear relationships on the Cartesian plane. And you're probably going, I've just noticed that this is exactly the same as the last slide, and it is basically the same as the last slide. You will be learning to do what you have to do as described by the syllabus. Success criteria. That means you know when you've achieved this, when you can do this. You have succeeded when you can identify rules from geometric patterns, words, graphs, and tables, and use those rules to graph relationships on a Cartesian plane. So when we can do this, and you can do it right every single time, then you will be a linear relationship wizard. Very exciting. Let's go. Number grid review. Let's go review the number grid. Perfect. I highlight it, you write it down, you know the drill. The number grid is like a street directory and is used to locate points. Sometimes we'll have a grid drawn up for you, sometimes we won't. Sometimes we won't. The number grid contains two axes. The horizontal axis is called the x-axis. The vertical axis is called the y-axis. Axes is the plural of axis. So I'm going to ask you to draw a quick number grid. You can only go up to 4 if you want. That's okay. Or you can go all the way to 9. But it's important that you have the arrows and the letter. All right. X-axis is here. This is the x-axis. Can you see how my x is all curly? I don't know if you've seen this before, but in maths we draw x's like that. So when I wrote the word axis, I used a regular x, but when I wrote the letter x, I made it all curly. And why is the x all curly? Yeah, that's right, otherwise it's a times sign. So our x's are all curly. You can practice drawing some curly x's if you want. Curly x, curly x, curly x. Some people get really lazy and their x's look like that. It's better if they're perhaps more together. Maybe like a forward C, but after a backward C. Lots of little x's. So practice drawing some x's if you haven't already. I usually spend, I don't know, a few minutes in class doing this the first time we see this with my year 7 class, because I think it's lots of fun. Okay, and if you draw your x's like this, that's okay, but it's going to be really confusing. So please don't do that. Make them curly. All right, let's get rid of that one. Okay, that was the x-axis. The y-axis is up here. I'm really bad at writing the word axis. Maybe you're better than me. And then the origin is the point 0, 0. The origin. It has the coordinates 0, 0. Oh, one more point. When we're plotting points in maths, we do dots, don't we? We do dots, and then we write the coordinates next to it. I learnt this the other day, but when you're plotting things in science, you do a little cross, and you don't put the coordinates next to it. You wouldn't write 2, 7. So that's what we do in science in black, and that's what we do in maths there in blue. Now I'm going to get rid of the one in science because we're not in science. But just so you know, it's a bit different. It's a little different. We use dots. Okay, let's go. You've got your axis, you wrote that, we're good to go. One more thing, I'm going to make you write this as well. There we go, now we're good to go. Okay, the position of a point is given by two numbers called the coordinates. The first number is the x coordinate because x is before y in the alphabet. Remember the alphabet? Goes something like this. It's always hard remembering the alphabet. Whoop. But if we have a look, x is before y. So we put x first. So x coordinate, then y coordinate, because that's how they are in the alphabet. Okay, so on your previous picture, go ahead, pick a point. You don't have to do 2, 5, but put it down. So when you plot a point, dot where it is, oops, that's the wrong thing. A dot where it is. Give it a name if you want to. That one's A, so this one can be called B. And then next to it, write down its coordinates. So the coordinates here, on the x-axis, it's got 4, and on the y-axis, it's got 1. X goes first because x is alphabetically superior. Beautiful. If you want to write a little sentence, you could write down something about x being alphabetically superior and hence it goes first, or you could just write the first number is the x coordinate, the second number is the y coordinate. Up to you. What are the coordinates of the origin? I said it earlier, didn't I? I gave it away. It's 0 on the x and 0 on the y, so it's 0, 0. 0, 0. Very fun. Whoa, what have I done? Okay. It's like a two-dimensional 0. That's very exciting. Let's get into it. Examples. I am going to make you write down some of this. Examples. A. Grid. All right. A. And you could do D as well. A and D. I'll do all of them, but you could do those two. So A. The coordinates of A. The x coordinate is 1. And the y coordinate is 4. X goes first. X is on the horizontal. I was trying to erase these little arrows because it's going to make it really hard to see later on. Okay, next, B. The x coordinate is 4 and the y coordinate is 1. X goes first, y goes second. For C, the x coordinate is 3, the y coordinate is 3. So it is 3, 3. For D, the x coordinate, we go down, it's 0. And the y coordinate, it's 2. We don't go anywhere. We go across until we get to the y-axis, but we're already there. So we just write down the number we're on, which is 2. Pretty good. You might need to pause the video to draw that. Question 2. Locate points on number grid. You can do A and D and E. Do you love drawing grids? I mean, you could reuse the same one. Or maybe you've got a grid book, in which case drawing grids is the easiest thing for you. Easiest thing. So A is 7, 4. X goes first, so 7 and 4. Where do these friends meet? They meet here. So this is A. I'll get rid of this. I'll get rid of that. And we do a nice little dot. Now, I'm a good person, generally, at least in maths. So I'm going to go ahead and write down the coordinates. 7, 4. Trying to be good people. So we put the coordinates down. B was 2 on the x-axis and 8 on the y-axis. So 2 on the x-axis and then 8 on the y-axis. B, 2, 8. C was 0, 0. So 0 on the x-axis, 0 on the y-axis. There it is. Don't go anywhere. Here's another one for you to do. D, 0 on the x-axis and 3 on the y-axis. So it's just there. And our last one is E, which is 5 on the x-axis, but 0 on the y-axis. So it's on the x-axis. E, 5, 0. And we're done. Well done. You might need to stop the video again to get some of that down. I'm writing pretty quickly. I'm not sure how fast you're going. You try. Name the point with the coordinates. You try. So, I guess what you could do is you could pause it, and then in your book, you could go A, B, C, and you could write down the coordinates. So for A, 4, 5, you'd write D. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and write all of the answers down so you can check it. Okay, so pause the video now. Actually, I might get rid of this. Pause the video now And then when you restart it, I'll have all the answers magically appear with the power of video editing. Okay, pause it. There it is, all the answers all ready for you. Fantastic, well done. So go ahead and mark, see how you did. Next one, give the ordered pair for each point A to W. Do you really want to do that? It's like 23. Up to you. I mean, maybe just A to H. Which two letters have the greatest X value? That means they're furthest to this side. Which two letters is that? Which letters have the greatest Y value? So they're the most far up this way. Which letters is that? Which letter has its X value equal to its Y value? So 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6, 7, 7, 8, 8, 9, 9. There was 1 here. Which points have Y values greater than point R? So where is R? R has a Y value of 6.5. So some of these points have Y values greater than R. And how many points have an X value of 5? So here's 5. How many are on this line? So I think I've accidentally given you all the answers to these, but you can go and have a go at these as well if you would like. Maybe just do A to H, and maybe don't copy this down. Don't copy this down, take forever. Just write your answers. That's fine. Let's keep going. Ooh, this looks like fun. I'm going to do this one. Extension. Plot. Oh, this is still a you do a job. It's still a you try one, but I'm going to do this one anyway because it looks like fun. I want to have fun. Plot these points and join them in order. Use only one sheet of grid paper for all answers. Name each plane shape you draw. A is 0, 4, so 0 on the X, and then up to 4. There's A. B is 2, 4. C is 2, 0, and D is 0, 0, and then A is back to here. It says join them. Join them. Oops. Joining shapes. Okay. What shape is this? Now you've seen my last video, so here's my joke. You're laughing. It's a rectangle. Haha. That's right, I only have one joke. It's not even good. So that's the idea. Go ahead and do the rest. In your grid book, which you might have. Otherwise, you could print out the notes and you could do it on here. Up to you. This is like that other one we did. And also, if you did those shapes to those characters in classes, this is like that one too. You'll find a friend, but you have to be very patient. I think it's one of our favorite slow friends with a bit of a spiral going on. Okay, and here we go. Our last one, battleships. Battleships. So there's a printout for this, but you don't actually really need it. You just need a grid. Okay, now this isn't like the normal grid that we have. In our normal grid, our numbers are on the lines, like 1, 2, and 3. Here they're sort of between. So you could imagine that there's lines drawn like this. And when you call out, say, this position, or maybe that's a bad example. When you call out, say, this position, you say that is 3, 2. So it's a little different to how we normally have our grids, but that's okay. All right, so here's how you play the game. There's 2 of you. There's 2 of you, and you each need 2 grids. You need 1 grid for your ships, 1 grid for your shots. Your opponent needs 1 grid for their ships and 1 grid for their shots. And the way it works is that you place your ships. So the battleship is 5 squares. Battleship is 5 squares. I'm going to hide my battleship here. Don't look. I mean, obviously look, but don't look. There's my battleship. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, that's my battleship. They'll never find it there. Okay. Next, I have to hide my destroyer. I'm going to hide my destroyer here. 1, 2, 3, 4 ships. It's next to my battleship for extra confusion. They'll never guess. They'll never guess it's there. Brilliant. Okay, my submarine is 3 squares. I'm going to put it here. I like to group my ships up when I play battleships because I find it really confuses people. But you can put them wherever you want. Okay, and now the patrol boat is 2 squares. There's my patrol boat. Hiding it. All right, so it's my turn, and I'm playing with somebody else, and I call out 2, 7. And I go over here to 2, 7, and they say, it's a miss. I'm going to put a big circle there for a miss. You could use whatever symbol you want, but I'm going to put a circle for a miss. That's a bad miss. Then it's their turn. And let's say they say, oh, I don't know, what's a fun thing to say? Maybe they say 4, 3. I go, hit. And I'm going to mark that they hit this ship here. Then it's my turn again. Maybe I'll say, I don't know, 5, 2. Maybe that's a miss as well. But then maybe they say 4, 2. And oh, it's a hit. It's not looking good for my destroyer. It's not looking good for me. I'm not getting many hits. How about 6, 5? Hit. Okay, fantastic. 4, 4. That's a hit. They're really narrowing it down. Now I'm going to guess something around here. I reckon I've got him. I think 7, 5. I think that'll get him. 7, 5. And it was a hit. Fantastic. But then they go 4, 5. And I say hit. And sunk. And now if they look at their grid, they'll have basically 4 crosses in a row, and they'll know that they probably got the destroyer, but they might have got the patrol boat and it's overlapping with the submarine or something weird. So that's on them to work it out. But that's how you play the game. When they sink all of my ships, they win, and I don't think I'm going to win this game. I'm not doing very well, but up to you. Okay, I think that's enough maths for today. So, do all that. Have a good time, and stay safe, year 7. You're doing really well. Good job.